The triangle trade could be considered one of the most influential yet tragic systems in the history of the world. From the 1600s to the 1800s, Europe, Africa, and the Americas were connected through a process of trade, labor, and profit. At first, it might seem like an ordinary trading system, ships moving goods to other continents, but this system was powered by human lives and slavery. European traders sailed to Africa with goods such as guns, textiles, alcohol, and manufactured items. These goods were then exchanged for enslaved Africans that were kidnapped. Those enslaved were then brought onto ships and sent to the Americas. This was known as the Middle Passage. Conditions on board were horrific, including overcrowding and the ships being unsanitary. Many died on the voyage. Once in the Americas, enslaved Africans were sold to plantation owners as property. Then they were forced into labor and created huge profits. Ships then carried cash crops like sugar, tobacco, cotton, and rum back to Europe to be manufactured into goods, completing the triangle. For all of Africa, the impact of the triangle trade was horrific. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, over 12 million Africans were kidnapped and shipped across the Atlantic. Some estimate that as many as 2 million died before even getting on the ships due to the raids and forced marches to the ports. Entire regions of West and Central Africa were depopulated. Communities lost generations of young people. These people were essential to having built economies, farmed, invented, and led. The social structure of many African societies collapsed as warfare increased. Powerful coastal kingdoms like Dahomey and Oyo grew rich by trading captives, while interior regions suffered devastation. This trade also distorted Africa's economy. Instead of focusing on farming, crafts, or trade in natural resources, local economies became dependent on capturing and selling people. European traders introduced weapons and luxury goods that fueled conflict and dependency, deepening inequality. The psychological and cultural effects were just as severe. Families were destroyed, languages and traditions were lost, and a deep trauma still echoes through African history. In the Americas, enslaved Africans shaped the foundation of an economic system that transformed the world, plantation capitalism. At the center of this system was enslaved African labor. Enslaved people were the engine of production. Their free labor transformed the Americas into one of the richest colonies of the time. Plantation owners maximized production through a grueling work schedule, often from sunrise to sunset, and made them work 6 days a week. This created extensive growth, increasing the plantation's profits by just exploiting land and people. Slavery made economic sense to colonists as it provided a self-reproducing source of capital. This allowed plantations to operate with extremely low production costs but yet extremely high output. Plantations were export-oriented economies, meaning that the crops they grew were almost always entirely for foreign markets. Plantation owners structured aspects of production to serve Europe and other wealthy countries they exported to, which supported their own economy as well. Plantation wealth gave rise to booming colonial port cities that became regional trade centers with lots of wealth, as these places were commercial hubs. These cities shipped out goods that plantations produced while getting shipments of more Africans to sell to plantation owners. Plantations operated like industrial compounds, only producing one or two cash crops and shipping them abroad. This specialization in their crops meant that enormous profits could be made when European demand surged for their products. The economic prosperity of the Americas due to plantations and the triangle trade had lasting effects on the global economy. Their goods supplied the raw materials that powered Europe's Industrial Revolution, and the steady stream of profits helped form modern capitalism in the Americas. During the time of the triangular trade, Europe grew wealthy due to the benefits coming their way from the Americas. Sugar, cotton, tobacco and many more goods came their way. All these goods were sold to them by the Americas for very cheap due to the slaves working for free. Europe then resold these goods for a high profit, allowing European traders and business owners to make huge profits and ultimately boosting their country's economy. If you look at graphs from that time, you can see that Europe's economy skyrocketed quickly as the slave trade grew. Europe's economy rose quickly as the slave trade grew. Countries like Britain, France, and the Netherlands made more money each year profiting from this free labor. The profits helped build bigger banks, bigger cities, new businesses, and ports. Insurance companies profited as well as they ensured the transport of the slaves and goods. These profits do not stop there, they also helped start the Industrial Revolution. Europe began the use of machines and factories to produce goods and services a lot quicker. Due to their materials being so cheap and having a lot more cash flow, Europe was able to afford the construction of new factories. They could afford to buy machines and hire workers to operate them. The slave trade benefited them heavily, and it became the start of a massive economy. Not only did the big companies gain from this, everyone did also. Many cities became wealthier due to shipping, insurance, and labor. Shipbuilders, merchants, bankers, factory workers and many more were all getting paid a lot more due to money that was now in their countries. For example, Liverpool was a tiny little town before this time, now it is a major city, all due to the slave trade. Most of Europe's exports during this time were connected